So are you an intermediate guitar player? This is a tough question to answer, and I get this question from guitar players all the time that say, am I an intermediate guitar player? Or they say, hey, I'm an intermediate guitar player, and I have to break the news to them like, you're not an intermediate guitar player because you can't do these things. And that may sound a little bit harsh, but I don't think it is, because the guitar is so expansive. You have rhythm guitar, lead guitar, then you get into styles, jazz, rock, blues, whatever it is, fingerstyle. And on some of these things, I've been playing guitar for 26 years, something like that, and I still feel like a beginner at some of these. So in this video, I wanted to put together a resource with your help in the comments below as a kind of a standard of what an intermediate guitar player should do. And like I said, the guitar is so expansive that we really have to define what we're talking about right here. When I talk about this, I'm talking about what are the basic things that don't necessarily cross stylistic boundaries, that, you know, the core abilities that you need to have down as a guitar player to consider yourself completely out of the beginner level and just into the intermediate level of playing. So here's the list. It's quite long, so you can take notes if you wanted this, and then add your things that you think I left out or things you think might not be necessary. The first thing is be able to go right to your 8 fundamental open chords cleanly. So no one finger at a time kind of stuff. You need to be able to go right to your open G, C, D, A, E, D minor, A minor, and E minor chords, right to them. Next, you need to be able to change between those open chords smoothly without a blip. So like this, instead of like this, with that little pause in between. So that's a really important factor in playing songs, which we'll get into later, but that's the next thing. And kind of right in line with this is you need to be able to play your power chord shapes. At least for the low E and A string shapes, and move them around the fretboard smoothly as well. The last little thing as far as chords goes, you need to be able to play your fundamental bar chord shapes. So 2 major and 2 minor bar chord shapes. The E shape for major, the A shape for major, and the E minor shape, and then the A minor shape is 2. And you also need to be able to move those around the fretboard. So here's a really good test to see if you can play or use your bar chords in a way that's, you know, getting into intermediate level. If you can play through like a 1, 5, 6, 4 progression, or G, D, E minor, C progression, then I would say you have your bar chords down, those core ones, pretty well. Okay, flowing kind of from the power chords and bar chords thing is I think that you need to have the notes on the low E and A strings memorized. And this is really cool because as you work on your bar chords and power chords, this is going to kind of occur naturally, because in order to know where to put these chords, you have to know, for example, that this is a G on the low E string, or that this is a D on the A string. So just having the notes on the E and A strings memorized is really important. And when you have your low E string memorized, you have your high E string memorized too, and that's half of the guitar. Okay, moving away from chords and more onto strumming. In order to be an intermediate guitar player, I think you need to have a decent amount of strumming technique as far as downstrokes and upstrokes going, and you need to be able to play through some basic 8th note strumming patterns and be able to pick some basic strumming patterns out of some simple songs. And a really good test for this is if you can play the really common strumming pattern down, down, up, down, up, like this. One really critical area for any musician is timing, and this flows kind of right with strumming. You need to have some decent timing if you want to consider yourself an intermediate guitar player. And the way to do this is maybe just put on a metronome at 70 beats per minute and play quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, then go to 8th notes, 2, 3, 4, then 16ths, back to 8ths, back to quarters. And if you can keep up with the metronome and stay on beat, then I would say that you're on your way to having an intermediate level of timing down. Let's get into some ear training areas. One thing that's important for a guitar player to do is to hear a chord and just tell whether it's major or minor. So if somebody plays a chord, you don't have to know what chord it is, but if somebody plays this, you should be able to tell, hey, is that major or minor, just by hearing it. Or if somebody plays this, you should be able to tell, hey, is that major or minor. And kind of the next level for that is being able to find the tonal center or key of a song. So if somebody is playing this, for example, Brown Eyed Girl, right? You need to be able to like hear in your head or sing out, that's the root note or the tonal center of that song. And you know, you can hunt around on your guitar fretboard and be like, oh, that note is a G. Having the ability to match pitch like that and just pick out the basic key for some easy songs is really important. As someone who loves music theory and loves to study it and find out new things about it, I think it is important that you as a guitar player, especially if you want to consider yourself an intermediate player, have a basic understanding of music theory down. And I'm not saying you have to understand everything there is about music theory or be a jazz music theory specialist, but it is important that you understand the basics of how major keys work and then what chords occur naturally in major keys. You don't have to know all your keys, but getting a basic understanding of that down will really help you learn songs faster. And that's the next point. In order to consider yourself an intermediate guitar player, I think it's really important that you're able to play through a few really simple songs like Brown Eyed Girl, Knocking on Heaven's Door, things like that, Let It Be. The reason for that is because if you can do that, play through some simple songs all the way through without stopping, all the things we've talked about so far, kind of reverse engineering this, you will be able to do. So that's kind of your litmus test. Can I play through this handful of songs that I like and I want to be able to play? So far, everything we've talked about is kind of rhythm guitar related, but I wanted to give you some points for lead guitar too. And some of the things we already talked about, like ear training theory, apply to lead guitar as well. But I wanted to give you some like specifics that you can kind of lean on to know, hey, am I an intermediate guitar player or not? I think it's important to have one of each of the following types of scales down: a blues scale, a minor pentatonic scale, a major pentatonic scale, a major scale, and then just a natural minor scale as well. And they can all be in the same position. So if you have like an A blues scale, and then A minor pentatonic, then A major pentatonic, A major, and then A minor. Those are the foundational kind of, even if it's just one position, like I said, the foundational skills that are really good to have down as a beginner player that's like graduating to intermediate. And then, of course, going along with that, you need some lead guitar technique, like being able to pick, alternate pick through a scale, even if it's slow like this. So alternate picking, bending, or sliding. Those types of skills, just having the basics of those down is important. The last thing that I wanted to go over here with you is probably the most controversial one, or the most divisive one. That's reading music. And trust me, not every guitar player needs to learn how to read music. I've known world-class players that can't read music, but some players, depending on what your goals are, do need to learn how to read music. It's important for them to advance with those goals. So this one is really subjective. It's up to you. It's really good to have the basics of reading rhythms down, I will say that. But as far as reading notes on a staff, yes or no, it depends on your personal goals. But once you can do all the things I listed here, you're going to be in solid intermediate territory. And the cool thing about this is that you're going to be in a great spot to go pursue other things. Like if you want to pursue fingerstyle, if you want to go learn more about jazz, or if you want to learn more about metal, you have the core skills that you need to do that. So what do you think? Did I leave out some things that are really important, or did I include some things you think, I don't need to learn that, I can get by without it? What do you think is absolutely necessary or unnecessary to be considered an intermediate guitar player? Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you later.